Hey everyone, welcome back to the stream. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to yet another video. I believe we are on part 6. Working on this guy here. This is our Korean F-51D Mustang 1/32 scale by Tamiya. And so, well, let's just get started, shall we? So, let me say 안녕하세요 여러분 to all of my Korean friends who watch my channel. I am building this plane as the Korean F-51 Mustang flown by Dean Hess from the Korean War. If you want to do some research, you can look up Dean Hess and what he did for the Koreans in the Korean War. He was an American pilot, was a pastor, I believe. Helped a lot of the Korean orphans back then. Yeah, go ahead, do some research if you feel like it. I've got my coffee here and we are going to continue on. Last time, you guys know, we finished off with our cockpit assembly, and so that's all finished up. I put the engine back on the front here. It is only held on by one little single screw, and so it made it easy to put the front part on with the oil tank in there and get that glued in. I've got the cowl put on. I just have to put the little piece of glass that's going to go on there, and so that's going to be the next step. I'm hoping maybe we can get to the point where I actually put the two halves of the fuselage together today. That's the hope. That's the hope. So, yeah, so I'll change the camera and we'll just continue on getting this guy put together. I'll put my coffee aside here so it's not in my way. And yeah. So, like I said, I've got to put this little piece of glass on here. And that's this guy here. Just painted around the edge like it says in the instructions, and then it's going to go down right on there. So, let's get some glue. Put that on. Make sure that's seated in its spot, just like that. And that's all we're going to need. Okay, so we'll put this down. We'll take a look at what's next. So now this is done. We're moving on to the sides. We've already kind of did the sides. For the most part, we got the side walls of the interior done. I call it interior, but the cockpit. So we got both sides done. Right. So a lot of this stuff is already finished. Putting on the panels, the switches and stuff that go on the sides. I have to put this on, this tube. So that'll be next. So let's grab that. We're moving off of our D tree onto our V and our J. So I have, here's the V tree. I do like to kind of pre-paint a lot of the parts, not only before assembly, but also before I do these videos, so that you guys can get to watch more of the assembly process rather than me painting everything. So we need V29, which is going to be this big guy here. Okay, and then I need J23. Now, of course, we have two identical J trees, right? So I need 23. I imagine it's going to be one on each side. So I'll just pick this one. And that's now on the floor. Of course, I have it pre-painted, so it's kind of the same color as my carpet. I think I got it here. There we go. Okay. So, this guy and this guy. Let's put this aside for now. Put this here so it's out of my way. As one viewer pointed out, my workbench is kind of cluttered. Okay, so this looks like it's going to go right here, like this. No, it's going to go on the floor. Okay, let's try this again. We've got this little slot and this little peg, so we're trying to line them up. Right there. So it sits just like that. Okay. So I don't normally do my assembly right on top of the instruction manual, which is probably why it's a little bit difficult. Okay, so we have that in there. Now, in retrospect, I would have preferred to paint this block the chromate color instead of the aluminum, but they didn't point it out. They just said, oh yeah, it's aluminum, there you go. So, okay, whatever. And then we have this little guy here. He's going to go into that little slot right up there. Right up there like that. And that's his new home. Okay, so that's that. And that essentially finishes off this page because I've got already everything done on this. That was the last bit to do. The rest of it is all just going on this part here, which is already finished. So, I think we can flip our page and see what's next. Okay. We'll put this aside, right there. So we're working on the other side of the fuselage, okay, which of course is already done. We've got our throttle lever, that's this guy right here. He's all assembled in his home. And this is all done and it's all painted. Sorry, I'm off camera here. This is already done and installed. Boom, right there, okay, all done. So we're going to work on this piece here and some pieces up front here. So we're going to go over our J and our V, our VJ. Okay. J, we need 20. We need 220, so we're going to have to grab it off each tree, and that's this guy here. There's one. The other one, conveniently pre-painted for us. And then off of V25, that's this guy here. There we go. We'll get to these others in a minute. First we'll deal with this. Okay, facing in this direction, I don't think it really matters, but just in case, I want to make sure I got my nubs clean off of there. This one I did cleanly. It's going to sit. Whoa. It sits on an angle. Yeah. They sit on an angle. They don't sit straight up and down. They sit like that on an angle. Interesting. Okay. This one I need to clean up. So the airplane's taken off in the background. One of those days. Okay. Little dab of glue on there. Grab this guy. Put him on. Okay. There we go. So that's that. It's those two guys. Okay, so this guy has to go in the front here. Looks like it's going to go in this slot, and they want it facing this direction. So you basically have a side where you've got some detail here. This side doesn't really have it, it's just flat. But they want it facing with the flat side forward, is what it looks like. So that these things are sitting straight up. If you have it this way, then they're not straight up. They're showing it here that they're going to be straight. These pieces will be sitting straight up because of the angle of this. So that means it's going to go like this. Like that. I also have a feeling, you notice we've got one long slot here and this one is notched. It's got a notch in the middle. I'm guessing on the other side of the fuselage it's got two holes. Right there and there, and this is one long slot. So you can tell, again, which side is going to be, whether you have it right or wrong. Right? Thank you, Tamiya, for doing that. So you get a nice indication of whether you've got it in there right or not. Now what I'd like to do is get this in there and just for a moment put the two fuselage halves together so that I know that I have this at the right angle. Because it's very easy to knot. And the next thing I know, when it comes to putting the two halves together, it doesn't line up. So that's the first thing I want to do here. Let's get this kind of together and lined up and make sure. There we go. Yeah, see, it's not in its notch. Get in your notch. There. Now I know that's going to be perfect when I get this thing together, right? See, I've moved it a little bit, so I'm just going to add a little more, little touch of glue. A little bit of a thin set on there. Just to make sure it stays. And I'll leave that for a minute. And let that sit. Okay. So, I need to get V10 is another tube, and the other J23, or the other J23, and then I need V10. This V10 right here. Okay. So I have these, and I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Okay. Now, I think what I'm going to do is we're just going to keep our fuselage together. I want that to set nicely. Okay, because I want this to hold nicely, and I've got to put this tube into that hole, and that might move it, and I don't want it to move. So this guy, I did not clean that knob off. Very good. A few of these parts I'm going to have to touch up, because now that I've scraped off the nub, I've got a little spot where it's no longer painted. So later on I'll go in and I'll touch these little spots like that I had to take the paint off or whatever. So it's going to go in. We've got a little nub here. It's going to go in that hole, and then this is going to go into the hole of that thing. So it's going to go like that. I love that. Tamiya just makes it fit absolutely flawless. Like, who can complain about these Tamiya kits? They just fit together. It just fits. Like, how can you complain about it? There we go. So that's in, and now we got this guy, and he's going to go in the same spot right on the tip there as the other side. Of course, I can't see what I'm doing because of my big hands. To touch up a little bit of my chromate where I didn't quite get every angle on it when I painted it on the sprue, but that's okay. Little touch-ups here and there is not a big deal. Okay, so that's done. So we're going to set this aside, let those pieces all dry, and put this down over here and let that dry so it's all nice and happy, okay? And now we need to start working on the radiator slash oil cooler duct, and that's all this. All right, so we're going to get some photo etch in there again. Start bending some metal and all that fun stuff. All right, so we got to find our R tree, and we got to find our photo etch. Okay, so let's find our R tree. Here's our R tree. So we need R5. This guy here, R5. R5. Okay. Anything else we need here? R15, we're going to need that. 15, 15, 15, 17, 16, 15. Now, I tried to look at these and see what parts I am going to need to paint the chromate, and I've already done that. Hopefully I've got them all. Some pieces I might have to paint still. I may have missed them. I tried to guess which ones need the chromate and which ones don't, right? Getting on the insides where I think they need it. So yeah. But we'll see. Okay, so we need photo etch. We need our B4. B4, this guy here. So I'll grab my photo etch scissors. Okay, so that one. I could try and clip closer. I don't know if I can. Can't really. I could try. You can try and trim closer, but I find just using my file and filing down the little nubs is just a little easier. Little light pressure until you feel it kind of get smooth, and all of a sudden, whoo, there you go, perfect. So it's not really catching, you can feel it with your finger and it's nice and smooth. If you press too hard, you risk bending it, and you don't want that. Patience is all it takes. There you go. Almost there. There we go. Done. Okay. Now, that means I need some CA glue. Now this guy, he's got a little tab on him, so it's got to go in a little slot that's right in there. So that's great. It tells me exactly where it needs to go. So, get our CA glue. And my really fancy CA applicator. Put some actually on this also. Okay. Remember with CA glue, you don't have a lot of time to fart around with it. And I'm really fortunate it fell in exactly where I needed it. There we go. Okay, that's that. Now, they're showing me MG3. Oh, those are magnets. Get our first use of the magnets. So we have our little bag of magnets here. It actually looks like we've got different sizes. MG3 is a small magnet. Okay. that is good to know. Gotta find my knife. Oh, there it is. See, we have 3 different sizes of magnets. So one's going to fit and the others won't. So sitting here looking at this, we got to put it in this position. They want the magnet right there. So pick the magnet that will fit there. And that one will not. This one I think will. Strong little guys. Yep, that'll fit right there. What I could use is plastic tweezers that are not going to stick, but that's okay. A little bit of CA in that little hole. Press it down. And what can I use? Q-tip maybe. The other thing you could do is use some accelerator. There we go. Pressing down on it just to make sure it's flat. There we go. So we got a magnet in there now. Now, where did my other ones roll off to? I might have to look back on my video to find out where my magnets went. Ah, that's where they went. They're going to go back in their box so that I don't lose them. Okay, so this is done now. We're going to set this aside. Now, more photo etch that are going to go on R15. So I need off of our A tree a 13 and 12, and so 2 13s and number 12. So there's number 12. We got 2 12s on the tree, but we only need 1 right now. Okay, there's number 12. My 2 13s. Where are you, 13? These 2 funny looking ankle guys. Okay. Again, I have some ugly looking nubs. Smaller pieces like this I find a lot easier to hold with the tweezers when I'm filing it off. Okay. That one's done. Now that's just going to go into that little spot right there. I just broke that nub off just by touching it. It's a hinge. It's one of these pieces, and that just broke off on my fingers just by touching it. I don't like that. That was terrible. That means this piece is not going to be able to open and close like it's supposed to. That sucks. That really does suck. Where'd that piece go? You know, these hinges, these tiny little parts like this, they break off, they're never the same afterwards. It's just the nature of the game. Trying to make sure it's lined up. Now, I've got it pretty much lined up where it's supposed to be, but my concern is the strength of the part. I don't think that's ever going to be as strong as what it was unbroken. But what can I do, really? Drill it out and put a little piece of rod in there, maybe? I don't know, that's possible, I guess, but it's not really my thing. I really just not want to stay lined up. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to grab one of these. And some CA in the spot. I mentioned in the last video, this photo etch stuff seems to be magnetic. It just sits in that little spot right there. Okay. So we'll let that sit for a moment while I deal with these two. Okay. Okay. Oh, that one's not done. thought it was done, but it's not. Now it's done. I don't see any detail on these pieces. They are just simply flat. So it's not going to matter which side I glue down and which is facing out. Which kind of says, okay, so the detail is kind of moot, right? Why glue a metal piece down when it's got no detail on it at all? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just attaching it to the side here. What's the point? Right? Basically, this is going to go like that onto the side. Let's just do this one. At some point, it's going to be the right way around. Like that. Right? It's just going to sit on there like that. But what? Well, who cares? Why? Why put that on there? I don't think it's for any reason other than just to be really shiny. It's unnecessary. And in fact, this has a bit of a curve to it, so you have to have these curved. I don't see any point to it. I see no reason to put those in other than to say my life is made a little bit more difficult. So I am choosing to not put these in. These are not going to be put on. And I don't need them. If I want these silver, I can paint these silver. It's just, it's already flat. There's not adding any detail at all. So yeah. So with that being said, let's move on. I'm going to call this side done. So we're moving here. We need more photo etch, B10 and B9. B10 is this flat piece. B9 is this, almost looks like an anchor. There we go. Okay. Same thing. Clean up our nubs. Now this one we've got two on one edge, so I'm going to do that. Let's see if we can get them done, both done at the same time. Almost. 99%. There we go. And then the one on this side. one's done. Now this one's going to be tricky because one of the nubs is on this shaft that's really small, so I don't know if I can get that. I might have to just try and trim it with this. Can't really get at it. Sorry if I'm about to get my head in the camera, but I need to get up close, personal with this guy. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. Okay, so we have ST5. ST5, I don't know what that is. So I'm going to have to refer to the back of the manual to see what ST is. So before I lose this, let's put that there, there. Refer to the back of the manual. Okay, ST is the shaft bag. So ST5 is one of the little shafts. Okay, so that's this bag here. We got some little rods. Okay. So ST5 looks like maybe this guy here. Or it's this guy here. Now it did say at the back that there's two of them, and so I'm inclined to see two of these guys are the same, so I'm inclined to say these are the ones that I need. Come on out of there. It's time for you to leave your home. Come on, little guy. in there so they don't get lost. Okay, so this guy, we're supposed to put this down through this guy, like so. And you see why it was important for me to get rid of that little nub sticking out there. Now it says don't glue this. Don't glue this piece in. And then that ST5 is going to go through the hole in that. Like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another set of tweezers to hold on to this like that. Now I've got something to hold it. This is where one of those X-Acto things might come in handy. Okay, now I'm going to get some glue. Put it on there. Put this through roughly halfway. That's about halfway. Glue seems to have taken effect. I am going to put a little bit of accelerator on there just to make sure. When I say a little, I mean one drop, which is a lot. Let's grab a Q-tip here and just kind of absorb some of that. Okay, so that's that. Finesse work there. Yes, UL, it is a little bit tricky. Okay, so now we have our little piece assembled. We can go back to assembly on this. And I see that I've made a big mistake. Because we have this notch in the middle here of where that rod needs to go. And I've put it about halfway, and there's no way that's going to fit now. So I need to hope I can break it loose. Maybe there's not enough CA on there. Oh yeah. I'm okay. So now the question is, does that just sit down in there like that? believe they want you to glue this down. So I put a little bit of glue there. Okay, there we go. There's that. That's this done. Now let's get back to here. Back to our R tree, R19. And hopefully we're done with a little bit of photo etch. The photo etch is always a little bit daunting for me. It's a bit of a challenge working with the photo etch for me. As you can tell, it takes me a little bit of time. Okay, so R tree, R19. Oh, hey, here's our R tree right here. And we need R9 and R10, and we need to paint those, and I have not painted these yet. So they want to paint a metallic gray. I think gunmetal is probably going to be just as close to metallic gray as anything else. I think a nice regular gunmetal is going to be fine. And we need R19, which is this big guy here. I believe I have it already painted on the other side. A nice chromate color. What else do we need? I'm going to need R11, and I need another piece of photo etch. Okay, so I'm just going to do quick and dirty on this one. I think I've got some Tamiya spray can gunmetal, and I think that'll be good enough. I will spray these. Let's move that. And these. Okay. Sometimes I just do it like this. Grab that, fold that over, and then I can just go dink and doink, and now when I spray it, it won't blow them around. So I have some gunmetal over here somewhere, I believe. Oh, that's light gunmetal. I guess I'm not going to be doing that. Do I have gunmetal over here? Regular gunmetal? Yeah, I do. I do. In my plethora of paints that I've got lined up on my desk. Okay, so I'm not spraying it. I'm just going to use this. This is the LP19 gunmetal. I do also have one that's thin, but it doesn't matter. Paintbrush. I would have preferred to spray these, but whatever. Still gets the job done. Sometimes you have to kind of stipple it to get into the details of these, otherwise you get a bunch of air pockets and you don't get full coverage. But you'll find out soon enough when it's dry and you still see the bare plastic underneath it. Okay, so there we go. That's my definition of metallic gray. Let that sit and dry for a minute while I clean out with my brush. Okay, well, while that's drying, I can't really put them in here right now, so let's just put that aside. What we have here, this guy going into here, it's not supposed to be glued, so that's going to line up like that. That going in there. And we don't want it glued. There we go. It doesn't look like it closes all the way, it just kind of sits like that. It should be interesting what color this is supposed to be on the top, because they don't tell me. They want this AS12, which is aluminum on the outside. This is all supposed to be aluminum. This is supposed to glue down those two holes. This. Curious what's going to be going on the cover of that, because this is going to go down over top. This. Just like so. Of course, we can't do that yet, but I can glue this down. Okay, so that's on there. Another piece of photo etch, B number 5, has to go onto this here. I am kind of regretting this look being chromate, because it would look better if it was like black or something like that. But it's neither here nor there. I need B5. 5. This one's big enough I can just hold it myself. nice when the part is actually big enough to hold in your hands and not have to use a tweezer. And it doesn't really, they don't really show, because of the angle they show this piece at, it's hard to tell which way it's actually supposed to go, because the part itself does have a little bit of a ridge at the bottom on one side. I don't know if that's supposed to face up or down. Actually, there's a little slot right here, so I guess that ridge is supposed to go into that slot. Yeah. Okay. Some glue around the perimeter. And then a little on that edge. Wow, that did not land glue side down. How about that? There we go. There's our piece in there. Okay. All right, so that's done. Now, these should be dry. Yep. One of my favorite things about Tamiya acrylics. Now they got little notches here. They're saying they're supposed to go at the top, and sure enough they do. And that's obviously not the right one for this side. And it fits perfectly in that side. See, I love that about this kit so far. The fit on everything is so awesome. Everything just fits exactly where it's supposed to be. No trimming, no issues. It just fits. So far, what I've discovered is if it's not fitting properly, then I'm doing it wrong. So now we got a nut that needs to go in there. SB5. I guess that's a screw bag 5. There should be a bag of screws or nuts or something like that. So, let's change camera here so I can talk to you for a minute. There's a nut that needs to go in that spot. And the bag that has the nuts in it, I don't know where I put it. I opened up that bag, and I have it somewhere, and I don't know where it is. It might be right in front of me, and I'm not even seeing it. That's always possible. So here's a bag, but there's nothing in it. And this is why you should have a clean work area. Okay? This is my mistake and my fault. There's another bag. For not cleaning up my desk properly when I start another project. I should have a nice clean working area without all of this garbage distracting me and making it so I can't find the stuff that's actually for this kit. I've got all of these other things on my desk, and now I have forgotten what I did with the bag that those screws came, or that the nuts came in. Screw bag. I should have a little bag with a bunch of screws in it. Well, maybe I do. I think I know where they are. This right here, I put them all in here. Remember the tiny little screwdriver that comes in the kit? And there's a nut there. Boink. And you see? Sometimes I'm more organized than I think. So let's get back to it. Put these back over here. Don't need this bag. This nut is a very important thing. You don't want to forget this nut. That's going to go in there. Okay. Before you put this down. Now we've got 2 pins going through these 2 holes, and then those 2 pegs there. So peg, 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 peg. There are certain parts in this kit where it will tell you, even though it's not photo etch, it will tell you to glue it together with CA glue. I've noticed that just in flipping through the manual a few times here and there. There we go. I think this is actually going to be the same color as a fuselage, this little piece here, which is why they're probably not telling you to paint it. They do want you to paint this outside here all aluminum, and that's fine. But, yeah. Okay, this page is done. Done. We flip her over. And we got magnets to put in. They want you to paint a few pieces up here. I'll pull this down. You got to paint a few things up here, which I've already done. That's on the fuselage parts. Painted, painted, painted. That's all done. But we got to put magnets in. And they want you to paint the magnets because they don't want them standing out. And we got to assemble this little guy here. So V26 and 28. Where's my V tree? That's R. Which means you are my V. V26 and 28. There's 28. And 26. These guys are not being painted at all. They're just getting magnets put in them. 2 magnets there and there. Obviously bigger magnets. Okay. Let's do a test fit. Yeah, 2 of the bigger magnets. These things are strong, man. I'm surprised how strong these magnets are. I'm just going to put them right there. And of course the thing is, which side do I want facing up? I want them facing the right direction. They don't tell me which polarity they should be, right? So all I can do is say, okay, I'm going to put them this direction and hope for the best, I guess. Right? I'm not sure which is correct. That's bad. So let's do that. Okay, hopefully they're far enough away they'll stay away from each other. And then we're going to glue this piece on top. Just like that. Okay, so we got a couple of magnets in there. Now, let that sit. Our fuselage. I'm gonna take it apart here. It's taken me longer to get to this particular stage than I anticipated. What are we at here? Over an hour and 15 minutes. Just to mostly put a bunch of magnets in. Well, it's mostly the photo etch. The photo etch is what takes so long for me. Okay, so this piece we just assembled is supposed to go back here. According to the instructions, it's going to sit back here. No need for any paint, so I painted all this kind of for no reason. So it looks like this just sits right in there like that. It's a bit of a tight fit, but I want to make sure I do have it in there properly. Seems to be a pretty tight fit. So I'm just going to shave this down a little bit. I'm sure with glue it'll slide in there properly, but I have painted in there, so that's going to take up some of the room. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. You can have two parts that fit together perfectly, and then you paint it and suddenly they don't really want to go together. Just shaving it down a little bit, and that makes it fit much nicer like that. And see, the other thing is I don't like how it's wobbly, which makes me want to put the fuselage together again to make sure that's going to line up properly, right? So let's just do that. Put some glue there and there. Let's put this in its home and put our fuselage together. See, when it's lined up proper, see, not right. There we go. Okay. See, that makes it so that it's nicely where it's supposed to be. The fuselage halves go together perfect. There's no problem. There's no fitment problem. There's no gaps. It's all going together just as it should, right? And that's why I like doing this. I like to hold it there and make sure that's lined up, so then when it comes time to put this all together, then I don't have any problems, right? It's all about preventing the problems. In fact, I'm just going to make sure that much more. A little CA glue just to ensure. It's such a good fit that it's stuck. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right. So that's in, and that's solid now. And you can see it's had to be at a certain angle for it to be solid. Okay, magnets. We're going to put a magnet here. We're going to put a magnet up here. Looks like we got two different sizes. Yeah, that's not the big one. And that is. So we're going to put a big one up there. And then a medium one down here. Okay. I only need one medium one, not two. Really? You're going to go together like that? Alright, got one separate. Wow. Magnets are a challenge. You know, as you may have guessed by now, I'm not used to dealing with magnets very much. But it's all about learning something new, right? There we go. Okay, that magnet's in. Now let's try and get one of our big ones. That's a much simpler. There we go. Okay, so those are in. Let's just make sure that's all I've got here. One magnet there, one magnet there. We have this in, and now we're going to do this guy. This guy is going to line up. This peg is going to go into this hole here, and then looks like this little slot right there is going to go here. It's a very tight fit. It's a lot tighter than I expected. But that's exactly how it goes, just like that. Okay. Alright, so let's back this off. Going into that peg, into that hole is a tight fit for sure. And then we're just going to put glue there. So, yeah, with glue in there, it definitely slides into that hole easier. So I'm going to use a bit of my thin just to make sure I've got glue on the edges there. Interesting little setup we've got going here. I'm really hoping my little hinge that I broke is going to be okay when I try to open this door later and not just break off on me. It feels very tight. Like I'm not really going to be able to open that like it's supposed to be. But that's the way it is. It's the way it goes sometimes. Okay. So that's that. So we'll let this sit because we're supposed to now focus on the other side of the fuselage and put more magnets in. So we grab our other side and same deal, magnet here and a magnet there. 1 and 2. And then we button it all up together. Well, they want the fuselage, the cockpit to go in on this side first, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. Starting to get the hang of putting these magnets down. Except for these little ones. Little ones are still a bit tricky. Whoops, don't dip in the CA. Okay, so we get our cockpit, and it's going to go in. I've lined this up a couple of times before, so I have an idea of where it's supposed to go. What I find is getting all these little notches, like here, if I can get this in the right angle for you. these notches here and here, this little slot right there. Get that lined up, and that helps it, and it's a little bit easier to figure out exactly how it's supposed to go in and where it's going to sit. Right? Just like so. And now it's in. So, with that in, a big step is actually getting some glue on it. There's a lot of places where it contacts. So you can get a nice firm bond everywhere. Lots of places. You want to make sure it's seated everywhere. Otherwise, you're just going to have fitment issues later. That's a neat little thing, how that's sitting around the engine like that. Alright, so next big step. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, look at this. Before we put the two halves together, I got to put a polycap in there. And that's got to go right back here. But we're going to put it in on this side. So let that sit for a moment. Polycap, which should be in here. That guy there. Doink. No, maybe not. He's too big to fit in there. So it must be that one. Exactly. Okay. Everything else is done. So we're going to take some glue and we're going to put it in a bunch of different spots. Know that we're going to need some help, especially on this peg there. That's probably going to be a really tight fit in there. Right? Now I've had this thing together and apart a bunch of times, but not with all this stuff. So this is going to be the unique part, right? So these pegs that are a bit tight, I want to make sure I've got glue on them. All the other things are no big deal, really. Right? All the other things I can get in there with thin set. Okay. Let's go. The moment of truth. I've got glue on my fingers, so let's make sure that's clean. If everything lines up, this thing should go together perfectly. Of course, that's the big thing, is if it lines up. Tail lines up great. I'm not getting lining up here on the bottom. Polycap just fell out. There, yes. You are lined up. It's just a matter of keeping it buttoned up. We're there, guys. We got it. Just need to put glue up there and get that glued in. Get everything else done. So with that, I can take some thin set. Put it in there, get that done. This done. Get some tape. Hold that tight. There's going to be lots of places where run that glue down and then put it together tight. All kinds of things like that to get the thing buttoned up and done and held together. In all these little spots. Get that tail put together and held together nice. I'll use clips. Where are my clips? Dump these out. There we go. All kinds of spots like this. Okay. So I'm going to continue doing that. And this is where I'm going to leave it for today, guys. Okay. I'm going to continue to glue and mask and hold it together and put it down for an hour or so, let this glue dry and cure and all that stuff, and make sure she's all buttoned up. I still got a couple of bits to do up front, but that's all right. So far pretty good. I'll put a little bit more glue on the cockpit here to make sure it's all snugged up tight and everything like that. Yeah. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for coming out. This is coming together pretty good so far, guys. I'm happy with it. It's looking good. I might add a little bit more detail, maybe a couple of little pipes and stuff like that on the inside of the engine. We'll see how it goes. But I don't think it's really going to be necessary to add anymore. There's already a lot of detail on the engine, and yeah, and if I do much more, it's just going to look cluttered. So yeah. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming out. And hit that like button, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below if you feel like it. Head on over to my Instagram and my Twitch channel. Check me out on those too. Links are in the description box down below. And yeah, we'll see you all in the next one.